Hi, Robert. What's up? How are you doing? Robert, is that Robert? The Caravan 2 user ID. Is that Robert?
That's
Yes.
Robert. That's Robert. Senior Robert.
Yeah, good evening, Ima.
What's up?
Cool, bro.
So Robert officially joined the MacBook a table of men.
See you.
He officially joined the MacBook table of men. So yeah, it's really nice. It's really very, very nice. Yeah. So the last time
Yeah, Charlie.
we tried to do some views and then discuss models, right? So today we are just doing only 1 hour. Okay, so what we are going to do is I would like to write some basic logics in the views that we've already written, right? In these 2 views, and then we'll see how we can output them in the templates. I mean, how it works when we want to output it with the templates. All right. So I'm going to use the function index view that we did, right? I'm going to input 1 + 1 on it, and we'll see, right? So sum of 2 numbers equals to say 2 + 2, right? And then since 2 + 2 is a number, I'll have to convert it into str, into a string, to get the output. Right, so now when
Simon,
yeah, hello.
kindly
How did I do the last time?
do the writings. It was control and something or what? Something like that.
Yeah.
You are using VS Code, Abi.
Yeah. Is it okay?
Robert should, yeah, it's okay. Pap, it's okay now. Yeah.
Expected bracket. Why am I getting an error? Oh, okay. Okay, so when I go to my browser and then I hit this, you see I have 4 as the output now, right? Can you guys see 4 on my screen?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so now I'm going to try something, right? You know, normally you want to know how to put your real HTML codes from the view, or maybe in the browser, instead of just using static files. I mean static stuffs. All right, so I'm going to have this and then H1. It's been a while I did something like this, but let's see if it works. My name is Emmanuel. All right, so when I go back to the browser, then I refresh. Awesome. So you see that it has rendered the H1 tag, right? And it's showing the output as my name is Emmanuel. So in other words, you can type all your HTML code right in the views file, right? But I mean, you can guess how cumbersome your coding will look like. This particular file is going to look like. So that's why Python decided that we should now have a templating engine that we can have some referencing in the view, pass some data from the view to that template so that it will make our work much organized. All right. So there's a function in Django called render, right? You can see on my line 1, I have from Django.shortcuts import render. So this is a function, and you can see, let me read what this 2% returns a HTTP response whose content is filled with a result of calling Django.template.loader, blah, 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 with a pass argument. Okay, so to use a render, you have to return it, and it takes a number of parameters, right? The first one is the request parameter. So this one, the request parameter is the request in the bracket here, right? It means that what kind of WSGI request are you making, whether it is a get or a post or a put or a patch. And then the next parameter it expects is the name of the HTML file you want to display or you want to attach to this particular view, this dev index view, right? And luckily for us, we already have an index.html file. So I'm just going to reference that one. All right. And then the last parameter, which is not mandatory, that it also expects is called context, right? So the context parameter is a parameter that when we want to pass data from this view to the template, we'll store it in a variable called context. So that context variable is a dictionary. I'm going to do an example here. So we have context equals to, let's say, my name, right? Then I'll put Robert. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Do I have any questions coming in? Does anyone have any questions?
Hello.
In
Yes.
the meantime, no.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
You can have other HTML into the view section, right?
Come again, your line.
You can have multiple HTML. Can you have multiple HTML files and render it into the view section?
Are you saying that can you have multiple HTML files for one particular view or for multiple views?
For one particular view.
For one particular view, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible, but there's a way you can use if and else to reference, conditional statements that, okay, if this is this, then you have to return this HTML page. If this is this, then we return another HTML page. But for the render function, right, it expects one particular HTML view. Or have you seen any instance where people are using more than one HTML file for a view?
Not really.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, so when I go to this index.html, we already have a text saying that, hello, welcome to my Django tutorials, right? And I'm going to call the context variable that I had, which is my name. I'm referring to this context item, right? No, this is a dictionary, so this is a key, and then this is a value. So when I'm calling my name, it means that Django is going to return Robert Obri. Let's see if what I'm saying will actually be true. See, you see, I'm not even lying. It says that, hello, welcome to my Django tutorials, and then it prints out Robert Obri here. Okay. Any questions about this?
Yes.
Okay, please ask.
Hello.
I'm listening.
Please go to the the HTML document that we referenced the context.
Oh, okay, that's the index.html.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you see the way I referenced it.
So I want to ask whether this is the same mustache that we are using in Vue.js.
Yeah, it's true. We use mustaches in Vue. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's the
Okay.
same mustache. But in Vue, is it double mustache or a single mustache?
Yeah, it's double
Yeah,
mustache.
in Vue is double. React is single.
React is single. All right.
Yeah.
So when we get to what template is, right, I'm going to explain how there are a lot of tags in Django or the Django templating engine that comes with the .html format. We're going to talk about some of them as when we get to this page proper. All right. All right. So now we've seen how to do a simple context, right? A context with one item in it. So let's say I want to show a list of items, right? So I have my list, and my list contains the names of people in this particular class. I'm going to type out your names here. Tahiru, he's number 1 here. Robert is number 2. Amate is number 3. Owusu, Hakmi. Hakmi is number, what number is that? And then Kobe. All right, so if you're against
and the truant, Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe. Yeah, Kobe. It's been a while he joined the session.
He's a truant, I'm telling you.
I like your.
All right. So you can see that now I have a variable which is a list of names, right? So if I want to display this in the index.html, I'll add it to the context dictionary. I'll give it a name like my list. I can decide to give it the same name as the name of the variable. Then I'll pass the value to it, my list. All right. Now when I go to index.html and I call my list, I'm sure to see a list of names, right? Are you guys seeing what I'm saying?
I've seen, yeah, we have seen something.
Yeah, I've seen something.
Why is this one in bracket?
Yeah, it doesn't look nice.
In square bracket.
It doesn't look nice, it's true.
Everything is in square bracket. Why?
Yes, it's because it's a list of items. You get it? And then the Robert
Okay.
on its own was a string. Okay, so we have to find a way to output this, each one of them separately. Yeah, each like in a loop format, so that we use a loop.
Yes.
One of them. Yeah. So to do that, this one of the template tags in the Django templating language, the mustache and then percentage, the percentage and then the mustache. So we use this one for some form of logics, right? Not extreme logics, basic logics like if statements, for statements, what again? And other Django template tags. We're going to talk about proper Django template tags in another session, right? So when I open this, I do for item in my list, right? Then I'll come and call item as a variable here, and then the closing tag is end for. All right, so I can add a break here so that it will be in, is it horizontal or vertical?
Vertical.
Yeah, to be in vertical and listing. All right. Okay, so you can see what I'm seeing, right? We have Tahiru, Robert, Amate, Owusu, Hakmi, and then Kobe. You see this time it doesn't have the quotes around it, and there's no square brackets starting and closing it. All right.
Yes.
I mean, it looks a bit presentable. All right. So, what again?
Right.
So guys, you can see the way he's rendering the array here is similar to how you do it in Vue.
That's exactly the question I wanted to ask.
Oh, okay. You can go back to that side and we analyze it.
All right. Oh, you see this thing at the top, it worries me a lot. This Zoom control panel at the top. All right. Robert, are you talking about this page?
The for loop, how you are implementing the for loop.
Yeah. It's similar to how it is done in Vue.js. It's true.
Vue.js, yeah.
Yeah.
Just that in Vue, you add keys.
Yeah, you add a key and then you pass the ID of the list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right. So we've seen
for
a single variable, and then we've seen for a list, right?
Yes.
Let me also create a dictionary, right? And then we'll see how we can pass a dictionary to the template. So this is a dictionary. No, let me do a list of dictionaries. Yeah.
That's array of objects, or?
Yeah.
No.
That's
in JavaScript, the array of objects.
okay.
Is it array? Is dictionary the same as objects in JavaScript? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yes, array of objects. All right. So
yeah.
Name is Emmanuel.
So this is object in JavaScript.
Is GTUC. What again can I have as an attribute of myself? Height. No, I don't know my height. Robert, can you guess my height? I don't know my height. I'm just putting any number, okay?
Well, you have an attack.
What's 20? There's no units. I'm just putting
You can use any number.
All right, and then yes, just this is cool. I'm going to do for another person. Name Eugenia. School is also GTUC. And then height, I'm taller than Eugenia, so I can say 15, right? She's even 10. Let me give her 10. It's nothing. All right, so then with this simple list of dictionaries that I have, I can create it as a context item here, and dict, and then that'll be all. Now, when I come to the HTML, how can I move this thing to the down? All right, so it's the same thing as a list. I have to do a for loop. So for item in my dictionary, right? Then since this is a list of dictionaries, each dictionary is a key and a value, key value pair. Yeah, so then I can do item.name, right? To give me the name of the people in that dictionary. All right, so I have Emmanuel here and then Eugenia showing right here. All right, any questions about this? Okay. Ofosu, you want to ask a question? I'm listening.
I mean, with case you are displaying just the name. So if we wanted to display, say, all the data, maybe the name of the school and then the height.
All of them.
It means we'll just use item and it will display everything. Or
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Let's see how it works. You see how it works?
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't look nice. Yeah, so that means we have to call them one after one pair or one key after the other, right? So like dot name, item dot what again? School. Item dot yeah, let's leave it as this. So you can see we have Emmanuel's data here and then Eugenia's data showing right here. You see that when we learned the Python, you guys were in a hurry. Now we are implementing. Now we are implementing the Python things, and you guys are quiet. You're acting like you've not seen what's the name, dictionaries and lists before. Anyway, I hope you guys don't have any questions.
Dictionaries, lists, and top. I have a question.
Answer the question. I'm listening.
Please, can you do this logic that we are doing in the views.py? Can we do, for instance, the function that we are working in right now, index?
Yeah.
Can we do this logic in the HTML file?
No. Oh, I see where you're coming from, because in Vue, you can do this in the HTML file or in the .view file, right?
Yes.
No, in Python, you can't do that. Python on its own, right, was not actually developed or architectured for web development. You get it? So it was along the line that other developers realized that
Okay.
Python, they can adjust Python in such a way that we can have frameworks out of it. Yeah, so they've made a way you can have a function and you can link the function to the templates. That's what it's called. That's what it's called custom template stacks. We're going to learn about those ones later on and see how it works. All right. All right. So what can we talk about? Are you guys okay with this?
We're okay with this, but you are already 30 minutes into this 1 hour. Not to make it 1.5 hours. See, we haven't done anything. We are already 30 minutes.
All right. So now, I'm going to try and put in some styles in this. You get it? Some colors, how to do colors and the rest. I'm sure you guys know how to do these things in the front end, right? Like in the HTML file, if you want to change the color of this, you put style. Like this embedded CSS, or no, inline CSS. Then color will be, let's say, red, right? And then I'll have a red. And you can also do for this guy here, put span around it. And then in that span, we'll have a style, a color, or background color. Go to green. Yes, Robert, I'm listening.
The question here is the way render your data inside the template. Is it the same thing that we're going to do with the APIs too? Is it similar? Or building the API with Django Python is totally different from what you are doing now?
It's similar. It's similar. But you see with this one, right, I'm returning a dictionary, right? And when it comes to RESTful APIs, especially, you have to return a JSON format, or typically you have to return a JSON format or any other format like Excel, PDF, but mainly it should be JSON. And you know, JSON has a format. You have in the list parameters, and then everything in it should be double quoted, apart from other data types like integers and the rest. So because of that, we don't just use the same way the way Django does it, but how we do it is similar. If there's time, I'll be able to go through how to build APIs in Django with you guys too as well. So don't worry, we'll get there. All right. So you see the way I was going about.
Wait. Brian, make the time. We need it. We need that. As for the APIs, we will be consuming a lot of APIs in our front end. So we need them.
Don't worry. When the time we'll get there. It will depend on how fast we can finish or we can understand the Django base as well. So now
we are going to December. Robert started.
To continue, right? You see that I was trying to get a styles for each of the tags, right? So if let's assume you have a lot of content on your HTML page, it won't be advisable to do internal or inline CSS for each and every tag, right? So Django has a static files engine, right? When you go to the settings file, installed applications, you will see a particular list item called django.contrib.static files. So these static files enable us to have external CSS in our projects, right? When you scroll down to the settings file, there is online, I don't know what line it will be for you, but on mine it is line 121. There's this static file URL, and then it has a variable called static /static and then /, right? So this is like the address, the URL address that it will reference each and every static file. If this style.css, style.js, whatever name the file is, right? But if you remember how we did the templates, right? How we were able to reference the templates, we came to the template section in the settings file, and then we added this particular item to the DIRS list. We added base/template. That means that it will reference templates folder in the base directory of the project, right? And this is the base directory here. This code boots project is the base directory. We are going to use the same way to reference a static folder so that when we have, let's say, styles.css file in that static folder, we'll be able to write all our CSS content in that particular file. All right, so to do this, the variable we have to create is called static files there. Is it theirs? The there, is it plural? Plural. It doesn't look nice to me. It doesn't feel all right. Come again. All right. Sorry, I have a friend of mine is here. He's a programmer, so he's also trying to trick my mind small. All right. Okay. All right. So it is theirs. So in Python, right, normally anytime something ends with S or it's in a plural form, it means that it expects a list variable, a tuple variable. That means more than one data should be for that particular variable. All right, so base there / Static. Awesome. So now I'm going to create a folder in my base directory called static. And then in that file, in that folder, I'm creating a file called style.css. All right. Are you guys there? Are you guys following? Hello.
We are here.
All
We
right.
are following.
Okay. All right. So background, right? So I'm going to have a tag called red, text red, right? That will give us a red color. And then that one will be color colon red, right? And then BG blue, background color blue. Okay, so now when I come to the index.html, right, I'm going to clear everything I have on this page, and then I'm going to put in a proper HTML structure, right? I know there's a shortcut to do that. Can someone help me with the shortcut? Exclamation mark, then enter. Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. So then we normally put the static files here, right? We reference them here. How do we do that too? Is it link or href? You guys should help me, okay? I don't normally do this. I normally download templates and they are already in there. So I don't remember.
Don't disgrace me. Oh. Ah.
How do you reference HTML files? I mean CSS files in your HTML.
The link.
Link. Oh, okay. Link and then style. That's CSS.
Hello, Mr.
Yes.
Emma.
Yes, I'm here. Also, I asked a question.
Yeah, you use the link. You use the link. You use the link tag. Ah, okay. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to call one of the contexts that we used, my name context. All right. So h1 dot text red. No, let me use BG rather. Is it BG primary? BG blue. Okay. Now let me go back to the browser, refresh the page. My server has stopped running. Okay. The CSS did not refresh. I mean, did not reflect. Let me check my, what's the name? Oh, no, view page source. Let me see if I can get this file. I can get this file.
I think you didn't load the static.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I didn't want to go there first. I wanted to find a way to do the manual one. And then we will. I've actually closed the thing that was running. Yes. Static. But why is he opening this guy? All right. Okay. All right, so let's try this. So normally you have to load a static tag, right? Load static. So this static here is coming from the index, the installed apps Django.contrib.static files, right? When you load it, now, when you want to reference any CSS or JavaScript, you have to call the static tag first, static, and then the name of the file in the folder will also come, right? Style.css. All right, so let me see if this time it will work for me. Still didn't work. It still did not work.
Did you say? Is it what would you say more? It's in CSS, sorry.
So who lets this CSS? What's he doing here? I think my server is referencing something that it's not supposed to reference. Okay. You guys should have to hold on there. I have a lot of servers running. I think one of them is conflicting. Okay. Okay, so now I have the blue background. It's too blue, so I'm going to have a CSS to change the color of the text to white, right? So that's text white color white. All right, so when I go back to the index file, and add text white here. Awesome. Okay, so you've seen how you can do the referencing, right? This part is very important because normally when you're writing your code, when you're doing your projects, you don't write your CSS especially from scratch. You normally download a template or buy a template, and the template comes with, it's a full pack, so it comes with its own CSS and JavaScript, right? So you have to know how to reference them so that it will work with your Django perfectly. All right. Okay. So that's for static, how to reference static files. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of the template tags I was talking about, right? I was trying to reference. So in Django, like I said, when you have the double mustache, that means you are referencing a variable from the context, right? You're trying to show the variable from the context. When you declare the tag the braces with the percentage means that you are loading a file, you are extending a file, you are using a control structure, whether if or for loop, yeah, or you are even calling a block. We'll learn about what blocks are, right? So you see the way I have my name here, right? Then my name here shows as Robert Ubri, capital R, capital O. There's a way in Django, right? There's something called template filters. Cap first, capitalize. So with the template filters, it enables you to, all right, this is not found. It enables you to perform certain operations on your variables, right? So assuming from the Vue.js, I have Robert spelled with small r, and then Ubri also spelled with small o. I'm still going to get the R with capital R because I use the cap first filter option. This one. All right. So there are a whole lot of them. I'll share a link in the group so that you guys will figure out how to do it. But this is how to use them basically, right? Okay. So let's go back to the list, right? The list of items that I had, the my list variable. Right. So let's assume that I'm displaying the items in the list. So item, my list item, right? Let me see how it comes. Comes in horizontal manner. I'm going to display them vertically, and then I'm going to try and color, I think, the Amate name using if and else to check if there's an item in it called Amate. Then need to color only the Amate name green. So if item equals to Amate, right? Then we'll have a span and then let me put the color in the CSS. I will have color. Right. And then else. So the else will mean that if the item is not Amate, you should just return the item. All right. You can see that now Amate is green and the rest of them are all not green. They're all black, black, black. And then there's horizontal line for each one of them. You could have best as well use BR, that's break, instead of the HR. All right. So any questions so far? I know this seems like, oh, it's too basic, but they are very important. If you know how to work with controls like this in the HTML, it actually nurtures your logical thinking when you're using Django. Because unlike PHP or Vue or any other language or framework, with Python, Django, you can't write your logics in the HTML. This is the only way you can try and manipulate yourself in the HTML. Any question? Okay. All right.
No questions.
All right. I think the last time I asked you guys to read about databases, right? Do you guys do that? Did you guys do that? Please, it is 2 weeks. It has been 2 weeks. I actually gave it.
You said you should go on the constraints.
Come again.
Guys, that we go learn about the constraints
Yeah.
and also
So you guys are okay with these things like database stuff, constraints, primary, foreign, unique, all those there now, not now, dates, all those things. You guys are okay with it. Wildcards and the rest. Okay.
Somehow on the learning on the job, yes.
Learning on the job. Yeah. Okay, so in Django, right? Normally you'll be working with data from a database. You're not going to be working with this kind of information which are not dynamic. Normally you'll be working with data from database. So like we said the last time, you have to write your database logic in the modules file, like we did here. And then from there, if you want to add data, there's a way to write the logic to get that. If you want to delete data. So today, for the rest of the time, we are going to see how we can add data to database and also display the data that we've added to, on another page. Okay. All right, so going back to the view, right? In the modules, we have customer, right? We're going to add a customer object to the database. And then we'll display. To do that, we have to I have to introduce you guys to the concept of forms in Django. Django has a forms module which enables you to, instead of writing the input tags and the select tags, you write pure Python codes, and then Django will render them into the HTML for you nicely. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to create a file in the my app folder called forms.py. And then I'm going to call Python's module for forms. So from Django, Django's module for forms. From Django imports forms. All right. So with forms, there are different types of forms. There is the let's get them here. There's a module form, there's a form. There are quite a number of them. We are going to focus on the module form because the module form enables you to interact directly with the database, right? Either whether you are doing an update or you are creating an object. I hope what I'm saying, it doesn't sound like Arabic to any of you. Okay. I'll always take your silence.
You
Understand what I'm saying.
will go over it small one before us.
All right. So what I said is that Django enables you to write your forms, right? Your HTML forms with Python language, with the language Python, so that when you try and call that form in the HTML, it will generate the input tags and all whatever code you would have written in HTML for you in the HTML file, so that you wouldn't have to go through the hassle, right? It has its advantage and its disadvantage. But since it's a beginner's tutorials, we're going to ignore its disadvantage and we are going to focus on its advantage.
And look at the advantage.
Yes.
Yes.
So in my forms.py, I'm going to create a class called customer form, right? And then I'm going to use the modules form. Sorry, module form. Right. And then this module form expects a class meta should be inside this same form, right? And then you specify the module that you want to create the form for. So in this case, our module will be the customer module, which is referencing the customer we created in this modules file. In this modules file. So I have to import it, right? So from dot modules import customer. Please, do you guys know what the dot here means?
Exactly the question I wanted to ask.
All right, so
why we didn't put, when we imported from Django, this we didn't put dot.
okay. Who else has
But
the
why is
same
this one
question?
taking a dot?
Who has the same question?
I can't hear you.
Who else has the same question? Kobe Gilbert, do you also have the same question?
Because it's a question I wanted to ask before you asked. So,
all right, so the dot here means you are referencing the current directory you are working in, or the current directory this forms.py can be found in. And when you go to this forms.py, why am I saying file? This forms.py file, you can see that in that same directory, it's in the same directory of my app, right? We have admin in that folder, we have apps in that folder, we have models in that folder, we have tests in that folder. So when I type .models, I'm referencing the current directory. The dot here means the current directory. All right. And then .models.
okay.
And then the Django here is like, when you go to settings, we've already instantiated a lot of Django here. It's a module that we don't actually know where it is, but when we call it, because we're using Django framework, it is accessible. Does this make sense to anyone?
Yes, it does.
All right, so let me go back here. So now after I've specified the module, the next thing is to specify the fields that I want to show in the form, right? When I talk about form, I'm talking about your HTML form, right? All right. You can either use the list operator or the tuple operator or symbols to display this information. All right. So when you go to the models file, you see that customer, we have two fields. We have the name field and then we have the number field. So it is just as easy for us to name or to type both of them in it. All right. All right, so this is very simple. It looks very, very simple. Now we go back to the view. We are going to create another view, which will enable us to create customers, right? So dev create customer and then request, right? And then the next thing we'll do is to call the forms that we've created, right? So customer form. So I have to import it, right? So since views is in the same directory as forms, I can easily do from dot forms import customer form. All right. Yes. So now context equals to form, right? And then form. So I'm adding the form to context, and then I'll return render. Please, if you don't understand anything, you can stop me and then I will explain. Okay. Create.html and then context. Hack me, you've raised your hand. Please ask your question.
Okay, I wanted to ask if, for instance, I have like thousands of forms, will I be importing them one after the other? Like, don't you have maybe a shortcut to import all of them at once?
But wait, why will you have thousands of forms for one particular view on one particular page? I mean,
just asking
yeah,
because I think
answer your question.
with the URL,
Uh-huh.
I think with the URL, we did something like from dot import, which imports all the views that I'm going to write. So I was thinking maybe.
Okay, I get where you're coming from. You can't do that when it comes to forms. You can't import. I mean, you can't reference all the forms in one particular view. You can do that, but I mean, it is not good user experience. You can have 2 or 3 forms here. You get it? Let's say you have another form called product. Is it product? You have a model called product, right? Yeah, product form. You can add it. Purchase form. You can add it. 3, fine. But you have like 1,000, even 10 forms. I don't think it's wise to have all of them in one particular view. All right, so I'm going to create the create.html file in the templates folder. And then now let me check if I can go there. It is still here. When I call form, now I have to create the URL for this view, for the create customer view, right? When I go to my app URL.py file, I'll just add path create customer, and then I have create customer. Awesome. Now I'm going to the browser, I'm changing just to create customer. Now you can see I have 2 forms here. I have the name field and then the phone number field, right? You see Django took the simple logic that we wrote with Python language, this particular class, and then it's rendered it into HTML for us. Are you guys seeing what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're seeing it.
Awesome. All right. So let me try and see if I can design this a bit to make it look a bit attractive. All right. So with form, right, it has the as P, which stands for as paragraph. You know, the paragraph tag. So that means to display the fields as a paragraph. So now 1 is here, and then another field is here. And then there is the as UL, right? That's unordered list. To display it as an ordered list for us, name, and then phone number. You see, unordered list comes with the bulletin points at the start of it. And then there's the last one as table. You can guess what it will do as well. So there's a table, just that it is not showing you the rows and then the lines for the borders for the rows and column bar. It is a table if you are to inspect. Oh, it didn't come as a table. Don't we have a table? We don't have a table. Oh, okay. So apparently there's no stable. I was thinking maybe there was a stable. All right.
So as we have as UL? Can't we have as OL?
Let's see. I don't know whether we have as well, but let's see. Nah, there's no as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's use the ASP because the ASP gives us spaces around it, and then it makes them in a vertical, displays them in a vertical way, and so it's a bit clear, right? We're going to add a button down here, which will make it look like a nice form. And oh. Right, submit. Type is submit. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is not yet complete because we have just displayed fields and then a button. And you know that in request and response structure, you have to put the fields in a form tag, right? So in Django, if the form is a post form, you have to declare something we call CSRF token tag. If it's a get form, you don't need to declare that particular tag. So this is a post tag. So I'm going to do that by declaring this tag, CSRF. CSRF tag. All right, so after that, I'm going to copy this form and then drop it here. All right. Wow. All right. All right. I like this name. What is that? I'm supposed to type something else. Is it okay? Yes, CSRF token. Okay. So that CSRF token generates a hidden tag, right? When I try to inspect the form, you are going to see can you guys see the side of the code? Where my guys? You see that we have an input of type hidden, right? And then the name is CSRF middleware token. Middleware token. Right? And then the value is some random characters. So Django, for security purposes, Django generates this code for each and every post form. So in the event that someone tries to spoof or sniff or whatever security term that they have data from the form, Django is able to identify the original data of the form by the CSRF token, and it's able to bypass those kind of attacks. Please, do you get what I'm trying to say? So the CSRF token is a security measure, and that's one of the things that Django enforces when you are trying to post data to the database or to the project or to the code or to the system. All right. Now, the last bit of this is to write the logic that will post the data that we type here into our database, right? In the views file, I'm going to write some logic here as I'm typing, I'll be explaining. If request.
Brian, before you continue,
Yeah.
The form that we have generated with Python, is there a way we can integrate CSS or Bootstrap on it so that it looks more beautiful. If we use our CSS to generate our form, it will be more beautiful than you have seen over there. It will align the writing and align the fields.
That's very true. So with the forms.py, there's a way you can, like you said, beautify it, right?
Yes.
There's a way you can beautify it. There's a widget parameter here, or widget dictionary you can use to, let's say, name, right? And then
the D is lost.
what?
The D is lost in the widgets.
Thank you very much.
D, the spelling of widgets.
Yeah, done that.
Yeah.
Forms.car form. You have car form, car field, right? And then you can have, is it forms? Is it inputs? Text inputs? Text inputs. Attributes. Right. So if you have a class, right, which is for beautifying the input tag. I know for Bootstrap, form input is, form control is for input tags, right? So you can call that class here, and then it will take effect in the name or for the name field. You get it? I didn't start with it because we don't have Bootstrap. We've not yet incorporated Bootstrap in our project. I'm sure in the next step, we're going to start with Bootstrap. That's when we do that, we'll see how we can work with it in the forms. Right. So let's just.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay. So if request the method equals to post, which is referring to any request coming to the view, and if that request type or method is a post request, right, then it will be controlled in this particular if block, right? Now we'll do form equals to customer form requests dot post, right? Then after that, you can do form dot save. All right, so let me try and see if I can explain what I've written here. The customer form is a model's form. If you remember quite well, we inherited a model form from the forms module. All right. So this model form enables you to update the form or save new records. Update the database record or save a new record into a database, right? And in our instance, what we are doing is that we are saving a new customer record or record into the database. In that sense, request.post here contains every information that we send from the HTML, right? From the HTML with the name and then the phone number, it will pass it to the view as a dictionary, right? So when it passes it, we are able to, the customer form is able to render it and save it into the database. That's why I added the form.save here, right? So let me just print out request.form, request.post first, and then we'll see what we get in the console. Right, so let me run my server from this side to be easy for us to do that. Manage UI. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay, it runs here. So now I'm going to add my name. The name is, let's say, human colon, right? Conlan, yes. And then the phone number, let me pick any number from here and then submit. Okay. We didn't see anything happen, right? You just saw the page refreshing. Now, if you guys can see closely in my console here, you will see this line here, query dates, and it has a CSRF middleware token value in it. It has the name value in it as human Conlan, right? And it has a phone number value to in it as the phone number that I entered. And then it is returning a dictionary. Are you guys seeing what I'm saying?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So that is what you get. That is what you get from request.post. Now, let me comment this and then uncomment this. So now I'm going to actually save data into the database. Human online, then this number. Click on save, then it saves, right? We are not seeing whether it has saved or not, right? So I'm going to display the human colon record on this same page under the form. To do that, I'm going to create a variable called object list or customers, which will be equals to customer.object.or, right? All right, so then I'll add customers as a context here. As customers. Okay. So when I go to the create.html file, which is where the form is, right? I can do for customer in customers, right? Print out customer name alone. So you can see human colon is here, right? Are you guys seeing it?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me add another name. Jack Harrow. What number can I use? Submit. We have Jack Sparrow 2 showing up here. But it doesn't look nice. So normally what we do is we'll put this information in a table tag, right? So table. I know I type fast, but today I know you guys normally watch the video. So I'm not expecting you guys to be typing along anymore. So after this, you can go and watch the video to follow suit. If you have any questions after whilst watching the video, then you send me a WhatsApp. Right. So now I've done the table head, the table row, and the table head. Now I'm in the table body. So the object in the customer's context is more than one. So that means I have to have a loop around the TR in the T body. That is why I'm declaring the for statement. So TR and then TD, first TD will be the customer name. Then the second TD will be the customer phone number. Bootstrap would have made this look very, very nice. This is very ugly. But I hope you guys get the idea, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd like to end here for questions, and then we'll think about what we'll do in the next session. So do you guys have any questions? Of what from what from what we've done today, do you guys have any questions?
I think for now it's okay. But I mean, I'm sure we'll get some questions when we are going through again.
So when we finally create our database, then we'll be collecting this data. Screen as we have done.
Strongman, your network got interrupted. Can you repeat it? Can you repeat the question? Hello. Hello. Hello, Tahiru. Your mic.
Hello.
Mic shows. Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I said when we finish building our database, then we will be pulling this data straight to the database, right? We'll be posting it to the database instead of printing it to the screen.
Yes. Yeah, you know, it pushes to the database. Oh, what I did, it goes to the database. And then let me show you the logic again. This part of the logic here pushes to the database. And then this ORM here, right? This Django ORM here, this query set here displays it from the database onto the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know we don't actually have a database here. We are using SQLite, so VS Code is not able to display SQLite. I'm hoping that in our next session, we are going to integrate with MySQL, and then we'll see how we can show when it's going to the database. Hackman, ask the question.
So does that mean that the code doesn't execute from top to bottom? FBI no.
As a day. Please ask the question again. I like the way you added the fancy at the end. Ask the question again.
Like I was saying, like the code, no, it doesn't execute from top to down now.
What do you mean by okay? Like I in the logic from, let's say, form to this to this. Is that what
before the forms and the check?
All right, so let me explain this once. I think the last time I explained this, when you hit on a URL, right? Like this particular URL here, when you hit this URL, you are making a GET request. Do you get it? You're making a GET request. You see, when we were creating a form, we placed it in a form tag, and then the method we selected was post. Do you get it? So when you try to call this URL and the URL reads, the code is written, it gets to this is an if statement too. The if statement is somehow like a blocker. The code has to check what the if statement is saying before it continues, right? So it checks this if statement. It says that if the request that the person is making is a post request, then run this code before you continue to return render. Do you get it? So more or less, it is a top to bottom kind of logical thinking. It starts from the top, then when it got to the post the request, it worked on that one before it went to the render. So if the request that we are making from the template is just a refreshing of the page, it is a GET. It doesn't have any information here. We didn't click on the submit button. You get it? So it will not send any post data. Acme, do you get it?
Yeah. If I get what Hackme was trying to say, go back to the code, man.
All right.
If I get what he
Tahiru, I know you are talking. Your mic says you are talking, but I really can't hear you. Hello. See, edge.
Oh, it's like he's back.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Hey, Brahma. Hello.
I'm here. Answer the question.
Hey, Brahma.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was trying to reiterate Hackme's question.
Okay.
He's of the view that if the code is actually being interpreted from top to down, the customer is equal to customer.objects.all is the one that is printing to the screen. And then the if statement is also sending the data to the database. So why is it that the data is yet not in the database, but it is being printed at the top there?
The data is in the database. One, the data is in the database. When you do the if here is just to store a new record into the database, right? But when you do customer equals to customer.objects.all, it means that you are calling all the objects that has been stored or all the information or the data that has been stored in the database into the variable customer. You are storing it into the variable customer. Django, I think Django stores it as a dictionary, a list of dictionaries also. So when you store it, then it's like, just assume that we don't have this, right? Then you mean that you can see that
Yes.
it goes from here, then the context, and then the context is passed to the render, right? Now, when you introduce this, it does not dispute the fact that when you store data, it does not store into the database. When you make a post request, right, the system will come and check the post request first. It will ignore the, what's the name? The get request, the initial get request, because the end result is that it's supposed to return render. It is not returning from the top exactly. It is the end returning that is more important.
Okay.
So until the code or the server gets to return render, it will check every line of code for errors, for syntax, for bugs, for indentation and everything before it gets to the return. So
Let me my own question.
Yeah, ask the question.
I see this to be very simple, Pao, because in JavaScript, we will have to go to the submit button and go and do a lot of coding there before we can get this done. Why does it look so cheap here?
Robert, can you answer that for him? Robert is not in here now. All right, so with JavaScript,
Robert,
you are dealing more with events, right? Event handling, click events, hover events, mouse hover events, what's the name? All kinds of events that you can, I mean, key ups, key down, and all that. So when you write a function under the submit button, that means you're saying that when someone clicks on the submit button, right, then something should happen. You get it?
exactly.
I mean, that function should be executed. But in this sense, Django is just looking out, sorry, excuse me. Django is just looking out for the form here and then the type of method or the method type that you are sending to the request, whether it is post or get. You get it?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically Django is not doing event handling. It doesn't handle HTML events. Hackme, ask your question.
Yeah, I wanted to say maybe you can say that because Django is a framework, so it has done most of the details for us.
No, you can't say that.
Oh.
No. Django doesn't do event handling for you. Django doesn't handle your submit button clicking. It looks out for the request that you are making, whether it's a get request or a post request, or a put request, a patch request. We've talked about the request types before. That's all Django is looking out for. But with JavaScript, you can also look out for the post or the get request, right? But also, in case you want to have a special effect when someone clicks on a text or hover over something or click on the submit button, all of those things, JavaScript enables you to have a logic under it. Do you get it? So more or less, or better still, JavaScript is more open-minded than Django. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So what that one would mean also is that you have to write more codes in JavaScript than probably in Django.
Yeah, exactly. That's what this last statement answers my question, that it's cheaper here than in JavaScript.
Yeah, more or less. But it depends. When you're using a framework in JavaScript, it's also cheaper. When using Vue.js, it's quite cheap. You're using React to Angular is what I don't even want to talk about. It's very, very complex. I don't know why Angular is a framework. It should be a language of its own. Okay, any two more questions, then we end the session. Who just joined? Who is Angmo? Angmo, can you please unmute your mic and then introduce yourself? Tell us what you've learned in Python before. Then let's see what's up. Angmo is quiet. Help me ask your question.
Well, I think earlier on you were teaching us about class and function in the view.py. And we're saying that you the two to do the same thing. So with the saving of data database, how do you go about it using the class-based view?
Using the class-based, we'll talk about that in the next session. Why? Don't worry. The next session, I'm quite pressed with time right now. We'll talk about that in the next session. Angmon, are you ready to talk? All right. So thank you guys for joining today's session.
Brian,
yeah, hello.
Please, to this video there, you have to try and save it, post it early for us.
I'll do that. I've been very busy. I've been working on a number of items, so I've been quite busy. That's right. I didn't want to. I was supposed to even push today's session, but I didn't want to push it any further. All right, so
that's cool.
I'll post it.
Thank you very much.
Watch. Thank you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you. God bless you.